Hi friends, this is Mallikarjun Melagiri. Welcome to my channel Technical Mallu. So we are learning Selenium Java with Cucumber BDD Framework. So in the previous two sessions, we saw what are the prerequisites to start working with Selenium with Cucumber BDD Framework. And we created a Maven project and we added the dependencies required into the pom.xml. And we created a high level framework structure. We created the packages, we created the required folders, and then we started automating the login feature. So in the login feature, we added a login.feature under the features folder. We added a login page.java, which is a page object model class. We added it under the page objects package. And then we created a steps.java where we'll be defining all the step definitions, which are the steps in the login feature. And we also created a test runner.java, which we used to execute the scenarios. So in this session, or maybe upcoming sessions, I will try to add a few more scenarios. So we'll add new customer scenario. So we'll add a customer feature. We'll add customer page Java, and we'll update the steps.java to include the step definitions for add new customer. We'll also update the test runner if you want to run it specifically, each and every feature file, right? So if you want to run login feature separately, and if you want to run add new customer feature separately, then we have to update the test runner Java. So if you want to run them in common, all the features and all the step definitions, if you want to run all together, then we don't need to do any changes for our test runner.java. So that I will explain when we are working on that. Okay, we'll also add a search customer scenario. So here we'll add two scenarios: search customer by email and search customer by first name, last name. And also we'll add a new product attribute test case, and we'll also add delete selected product attributes test case. So these are the few scenarios which we will be covering in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, we'll start with add new customer scenario. So first we have to create a customer.feature under features folder. Okay, let's go to Eclipse. This is our project. Inside the features, we already have the login.feature. Now we need to add one more new file. We'll call it as customers.feature. So I have copied the content of the feature file. Let me paste it here. So we have feature, and feature name is customers, and the scenario name is add a new customer. So given user launches the browser and user opens URL, when user enters email as this email and password as this password, and user clicks on login, then user can view dashboard. So this is until the login step. So after once he logins, he has to click on the customers menu. When user clicks on customers menu and clicks on customers menu item and clicks on add new button, then user can view and add customer page. When user enters all the customer info and clicks on save button, then user can view confirmation message: the new customer has been added successfully, and user closes browser. So this is our scenario. So if you go to the website nop, okay, so this is our website, and we log in. Once we log in, we go to the customers menu and customers menu item. When we click on customers menu item, here we have the add new button. When we click on add new, so here we have to enter all the details: email, password, first name, last name, gender. So whatever details required, we add all the details, and then we click on save button. Okay, but here the constraint is that the email should be different. It should be unique. Each time when you add a new customer, the email should be unique. So to generate a unique email ID, we should have some mechanism in our code. So that also I will be demonstrating how to do that. So the next step is create add customer page.java under page objects package. Go to page objects package, new class, add new customer page. So click on finish. So it has created an empty class for us. So instead of typing the entire code by hand, let me copy the code here and let me explain it to you. Okay. So here we have created a new class called add new customer page. So inside the class we have created one driver. So we need the driver object. We have created a web driver object, and we have one constructor, just like we did in login page.java, right? So there also we had a login page constructor. So here also we have add new customer page constructor, which will accept the driver, which is sent from the steps definitions class actually. And that remote driver will be assigning to the local driver. And we have this page factory, which will initiate all the elements. So this is the constructor part. And after that, we find all the elements which are present on the add customer page. So here I have used XPath as a locator for all the elements. Okay, so here I am finding a link to the customer's menu, link to the customer's menu item. So first we have the customer's menu on the left side. Then we get the customer's menu item under that. We click on the customer's menu item. Then after that, we have to click on the button add new. So this button I have identified. And after that, the email text box that we have identified, and the password text box we have identified, first name, last name. So like that, all the elements which are present on the add customer page, the gender like male female options, date of birth, company, manager of vendor, roles, administrators, guests, registered. So these are the different roles actually which we can select from the drop down. So that also we have identified. And the moderators, admin comment. So there's a text box called admin comment, and there is a save button. So all these elements we have identified. Then here we have all the methods. So on each element we have to perform some action, right? So, so and this one is a default method. So in our automation, right, like we are dealing with multiple pages, and every time when we launch any new web page, we have to assert whether that page title is correct or not. So for that, I have identified method get page title. So instead of doing the get title for every time when we are doing a session, so we have created our own method called get page title. Then we have click on customers menu, click on customers menu item. So here you can see we have identified this element, and on that element we have a method called click. Similarly, button add new, click, text email send keys. So we are sending the email ID, we are sending the password to the text box. Like that, we have to identify all the methods. So here, when we are setting the roles, there we are having a web element called list item, because it's a drop down, right? We have to select one of the options from the drop down. So here, based on the condition, if role is equal to administrators, then we have to set that list item as role administrators. If it is guests, then we have to set that item as guests. Like that, we have to, in the if else condition, we have to set first what is the thing, because we are sending the role here. So whatever role we are sending, that we have to set into the list item, and that list item we have to click at the end. So that's how it is. So here, if the click doesn't work, we can alternatively use JavaScript executor as follows. So in Selenium, there are different ways of doing the same thing. For example, when you are trying to find out the locators, right, and where you are assigning it to some objects, web element objects, that can also be done in various methods, not only using the page factory method. So you can also do it using the by class, right? So like that, here also, if the click doesn't work, we have one more method using the JavaScript executor. So using the JavaScript executor is the alternative method for click. Okay, next we have set manager of vendor. Okay, so here also we are passing the manager as a string, and option equal to new select of drop down manager of vendor. Option dot select by visible text manager. So this is how we are dealing with the drop down items, right? Okay, so like this, we have to set all the elements. So see here, we are setting the gender. We are passing the gender to this method. And if gender equals to male, option male dot click. So that item we have already identified, and dot click. So we have to click on that item. If we are sending gender equal to female, then we have to click on this OPT female object. Then we are trying to set the first name, set the last name. set date of birth. So everything will be sent to the method as a string object, and then we have to set that to that particular web element, whatever we have identified. And finally, we have this click save button we have identified. On that button, we have to execute this click action. So once we click, it will take some time to save, right? So for that, we have used thread.sleep of 3000, means it will wait for 3 seconds, and then it will do the next actions, whatever it has to be done, all the validations, whatever if you want to do. So instead of using this thread, what we can do, we can create our own utility called wait helper. So inside that wait helper, we can write the strategy to wait on each and every web element. So if you want to wait for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, we can write that a fluent wait. We call it as a fluent wait. So we have to write that logic inside that, and that wait helper object we have to create, and we have to keep on waiting for each and every web element whenever we load the page. So I will be demonstrating how we can do that, how we can create that wait helper utility. So to do that, we will go to the utilities package, right click, create new class, and we'll name it as wait helper. Finish. So it creates a basic class structure. I will just replace it with some code, and let me explain this code. So here we have this wait helper class. Inside that we have a web driver object, and we have one constructor. So wait helper constructor, which will accept that remote driver and assign that remote driver to our local driver object that we created here. Okay, and also it has only one plain simple method. We name it as a wait for element. So this is a method which we are defining, and it is accepting two parameters. One is the web element itself. For example, if you want to wait for a text box to be loaded, we'll pass that text box element here, first name text box, last name text box, like that, or a button. So if you want that save button to be loaded on the page, then we will pass that save button element, whatever we have identified in our page object class. And along with that, we specify the amount of time that we have to wait, maximum time. Here we specify the maximum amount of time, like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So if the element is identified within that seconds, like suppose if it is identified within 2 seconds, then it will take only 2 seconds. It will not wait for the complete 15 seconds, right? Okay, then we create the WebDriver wait object here. WebDriver wait equal to new WebDriver wait of driver object we pass here, and we also pass the amount of time we want to wait. And on the wait object, we invoke this until method. We have a until method, wait until some expected condition is met. So we have this expected conditions where we have multiple methods, visibility of, like that. So there will be a different options in expected conditions. So here we are using visibility of element. So here we are saying wait until the element is visible on the page. So now we will see how we can utilize this wait helper in our page object class. Let's go to add new customer page class, and here we have to import that wait helper class. Yeah, we imported wait helper class. Then so inside our class, we define one object, a variable called waiter of type wait helper, and inside the constructor we initialize, or we create that object. And now we will go to the elements wherever the elements are being used, right? So click on customers menu. So before clicking on customers menu, that customers menu link should be available. That menu link should be available. So for that, we have to make sure that it is already visible on the page. So we have waiter.wait for element. So here we have to pass two things. First one is the element on which we are interested to wait upon. So here link customers menu is the element which I'm interested to wait upon. And the next parameter would be how many seconds you want to wait on that element. So you can just copy the same thing and keep on adding it to all the elements in this page object class. So like that, I have added wait time for each and every element in this add new customer page class. You can see here, right? On each and every element, I have added the wait. Wait for element. Like that, I have added for each and every element. Wait. And also, since it is a utility class, we can use that wait helper in our login page also. So I went into login page. There also I have created a wait helper object, and I have initialized that object in the constructor. And then even there also for each and every element, I have added the waiting for each and every element. After that, now we created the page object class for add new customer page. Then again we have new steps. We defined new steps right in this. So if you go into the customers.feature, so there are so many new steps here in the customers feature. So those new steps we have to define. So whatever we defined for login, I named it as login page steps, right? So after the login page steps, I will just click enter and I have copied some code here. I will paste it. Okay. So this is the code for creating a customer feature step definitions. So whatever in the customer feature we added new steps, for those we have to define the step definitions. We have to define the actions. So it is showing errors because we have to first create the object of that add new customer page. Add new customer page. I name it as ACP, and then I have to initialize it. In the first step where I'm using it, so it is initialized ACP equal to new add new customer page, right? It is initialized. Okay, so now everything looks fine. So let me explain these methods. So user can view dashboard. Here, we need to verify whether the user is able to view the dashboard once he is logged in and once he clicks on the customers page, right? So here we are checking whether dashboard nopCommerce administration we are able to see the title. So here we are using that ACP dot get page title. You remember we defined the get page title method, right? In our add new customer page class. Yeah, we have defined it here, right? So we are using it in our steps.java now, right? Okay. After that, user clicks on customers menu. So ACP dot click on customers menu. That is what we have defined method. Then ACP dot click on customers menu item. Then we have ACP dot click on add new. So we have to click on the add new button. Then we have user can view and add customer page. So here we are asserting add a new customer NOP commerce administration that page title. So whether we are able to see that page like that we are asserting here. Then user enters all the customer info. So here we are actually entering all the information. So here I am setting one email ID. I'm taking a hard-coded email ID here actually. So actually we should get a random string, but for our test case, we are using this some hard-coded email ID so that we'll be verifying the same email ID because I'm using this hard-coded because we have to verify it, right? Whatever email ID is sent, the same email ID we are seeing that also we have to verify. So that's for that purpose I'm using the hard-coded email ID here, and we are setting the email, we are setting the password, we are setting a customer roles, set manager of vendor, vendor 2, we are setting the gender as male, first name Mallikarjun, last name Melagiri. Like that we have set all the details here, company name and the admin comment. Okay. So then the user clicks on save button, acp.click save. That is the method which we have defined. And here user can view confirmation message. So once he clicks on save, he will be able to see confirmation message on top of the page. So that we are verifying whether that message is coming properly or not. Okay, so now we have added the add new customer page object class, and we have defined all the steps that we need for that add new customer page inside this steps.java. And then now we go into the test runner class, test runner.java class, and there we have to remove this login.feature and just keep the features, so that whatever is there into the inside the features folder, all the features will be executed. Save this, and whatever is there in the step definitions, all those step definitions will be executed. Save it. And also when you are executing multiple times, remember to change this email id to a unique id. So earlier I ran it with mailagiri 27, now I am running with mailagiri 28, because if you run with the same email id, it will say email id already exists, and your test case will fail for this scenario. So now it has launched the browser, it's logging in, it's clicking on customers, add new, it entered the email id, all the other details, it's clicking on save, the new customer has been added successfully, and it has closed the browser. Now it is trying to execute the login scenario. It added the details, login, then it's clicking on the logout button, and then close the browser. So both the scenarios has been successfully passed. You can see the JUnit report here. JUnit results you can see here. The customers scenario as well as the login scenario. Both the scenarios has been passed. And if you go inside the package explorer and then refresh and then go to your target folder, then Cucumber reports. So here now you can see two entries. One is for customers.feature and the other one is for login.feature. In the customers.feature, you have add a new customer scenario and everything is passed in that. And if you expand this, you get the login.feature. In the login.feature, you have login with valid credentials and everything is passed. So now we have completed add new customer test scenario. And also we added the wait helper utility. So next we'll go with search customer by email and search customer by first name and last name scenarios. But before that, we will add a base class into step definitions package, create a new class, call it as base class. Instead of creating all the objects, right, instead of creating these objects inside each and every page object class, we can create it in base class itself. So here let me copy and paste some code. So here we have the base class code here. So here you can see we have a base class, and inside that we have created a web driver object, and we have login page object, and we have add new customer page object. So these can be created once at the base class level, and wherever we need these variables, driver or each and every page object, right, there we'll just extend this base class into that class. So now add new customer page. So instead of creating the driver and waiter here, we'll remove this. So once you remove, you start seeing these errors, right? So we'll say extends base class. Okay. So here again we are seeing this error, but this one in the base class we have not created the object for the wait helper. So we created that also. So now if you go here, so that error also will go. So we have used the hierarchy of classes concept here. We are defining everything in the base class, all the objects, whatever pages we have, all the pages we will be defining here. If we have like hundreds of pages, all the pages objects we can define here, and that can be initiated wherever we require them. So here, if you see the driver, we are initiating right in the steps.java. Login page equal to new login page, like that we are initiating and we are creating the object there, right? So we can use this base class concept like this. Okay, now we'll go to login page and we'll also extend that from the base class. Okay, so we'll remove these variables from here because it's already declared in the base class. Okay, so this is fine. So now it is extending base class. We'll also go to step definitions. Here also we have WebDriver, login page, add new customer variables. We'll remove this. Okay, so now we see these errors. So when we extend, all the errors should go. Okay, login page equal to new login page. Okay, so we have named it as login page, right? So let's go to base class. I wrongly written it as LP. So here I have given the variable name as login page. So when I save this base class and then come to login page, so now those errors should go. Okay. Okay, in step definitions, yeah, no errors. Yeah, so we have extended all our subclasses from the base class. So now we'll go ahead with the next scenario, which is search customer by email and search customer by first name, last name. Okay, so we'll go into the customers feature and we'll add one more scenario here. I have copied some code. I'm pasting it. So here we have the scenario search customer by email. Given user launches the browser and user opens the URL. When user enters email as this email and password as this password and user clicks on login, then user can view dashboard. When user clicks on customers menu and clicks on customers menu item and enters customers email and clicks on search button, then searched record with email is found in search results table and user closes the browser. So this is the complete scenario right from login and searching the customer and closing the browser, the entire scenario. Okay, so after adding the scenario here, I will go to testrunner.java and here I will add customers.feature. Specifically, I will add customers.feature and I will make dry run equal to true so that it will just do a dry run, not execute the actual scenarios. Then say run as JUnit test. So now it is going to run the dry run. So if you see in the console, you should be able to see the unimplemented methods. Okay, so we'll see here in the failure trace, click on this console icon. Yeah, so here you can see these three methods are unimplemented. So we can copy these three methods. Here it is and customer and enters customer email and clicks on search button, then search record. Okay, so and then and then that's what we have to implement. So we'll go into the step definitions. So only those three are the unimplemented ones and other steps were already implemented. So we don't need to again implement them. So here I'll say steps for customer search, and I will paste the method skeletons here. Once I paste the method skeletons here, we have to implement the actual method. So before we define these steps, let me go into the customers feature and add one more scenario. I have copied a scenario here. Search customer by first name and last name. So now we did search customer by email, and now we are going to add one more, search customer by first name and last name also, and save it. Then again go to testrunner.java. So here we have customers.feature. So whatever new steps we have here, right, in this first name and last name, so these new steps will be, again we have to get it. So to get that, again we have to do a dry run. I'll go here and right click and say run as JUnit test. So here it is saying again these are unimplemented steps. Click on this console icon. Then inside the console you will get those unimplemented steps. Copy them into steps.java and name them as, or comment them as, steps for customer search by first name and last name, right? So we'll have to define these also. Okay guys, as we have crossed our time limit, we will stop here, and in the next session we will see what is background in the feature file. We'll also see what are hooks and tags. We use hooks and tags in the step definitions. So we'll go through them in the next session. Thank you.